you would get our podcast. Now, we're trying to create a solution that allows us to answer more questions, right? Essentially, scaling the unscalable. We are looking to find a way to answer questions that if you have a question for us, we can, with perfect memory, retrieve all of our past podcast conversations with the feedback that we've given it. And I like to use the analogy of like, I kind of think of it as like if I hired an intern that was helping me draft all my work, right? Someone asked me a question, they sent an email. My intern will look at that question and say, hey, Kent, based on everything I know about what you taught me, here's my first draft. And then I will come in and edit that draft. But it's a lot less work because now I'm just doing like the last 10% of the work. And now we essentially have an intern with like a perfect memory of everything that we've taught it. And now they can help us handle so much more work. And this gives you super high leverage to help as many people as possible. So what Brian and I have done is we've gone ahead, we've put out all the questions related to Section 8. We've seen the initial drafts, we've provided back the feedback, and then we've updated our agent. But now there are probably two things I want to cover with you today, Brian, is specifically around one, I think I need to figure out with you if there are certain like personal positions on things, like how do we embed that into the memory? For example, one of the questions I realized was this question was, hey, invest in Florida flood zones. And the question was, hey, any Florida investors actually buying properties you plan to hold in high flood risk areas? I'm looking at multifamily in an area that's not flooded, but it's at high risk for flood and wind. Are you buying? What, if anything, are you doing differently if you are buying? Right? Now, personally, I would say I would not buy in any flood zones. I think it's too high risk. And more importantly, most important factor is that you might have the best underwriting. Every assumption is sound. But if for some reason, which it has happened in Florida, whether you believe in climate change or not, insurance premiums have doubled, if not tripled, in the last 3 to 5 years. And no one ever writes with a 200, 300% increase in your insurance expenses that might kill your complete cash flow. So how do we get it so that we know if someone asks my AI agent, we will recommend, hey, don't buy in a fire zone. Don't buy in a flood zone. So that's kind of like the one thing that I've noticed that I might not have gotten a perfect answer on. But besides everything else, man, dude, it really is 90% of the way there when I check like all these other questions now. It's super freaking dope. It's so cool. But let me kind of pause there and kind of let you talk about like what you've been playing with, Brian.
Yeah, I've been watching just not a lot of content, but I've consumed, 3 or 4 long form, YouTube videos breaking down different things. So the question is good, and there's definitely a way to approach it. So first and easiest, like you said no in your feedback, which you wanted to respond with no, I don't think this is a good idea. If you say a specific feedback that's like very explicit, there's a higher chance that the agent will be able to see that as such a high response, and maybe we'll pick it up that way. But I would say the agent prompt, which is in the system message, that's really the instructions, and that's like the heart of the agent itself. So that's where this is good. We now have like, okay, here's a use case. Like if it's a strict, should I do this? And maybe it's like, weather related, right? Or it's something where it's like, this is always going to be no. This is like my advice to you. I always want this to be a strict no. Then we can have parameters in the system message that say, hey, if this criteria is met, like question is asking about whether or not a person should purchase in an area because of climate, because of neighborhood conditions or something specific like that. Look for like strict yes or no type answers to give feedback on. So if and I'm making like a totally random like system message right now, but you could parameterize like how the agent ingest data. So you can connect that if you want.
Yeah, let me connect that. and let's see how it responds now, right? So my response was no, I generally would not do it. So if I were to say without updating your system message, because I like your point, I think updating the system message might be a better way to go about it to show how you prioritize the responses. That's a really, really good point, Brian. I love that. So, whoops. Oh, there's no prompt in here. There's a prompt in here.
What does it say? No prompt specified. Oh, let's see.
I expect you to find a prompt in an input field called chat input.
Oh, go to your chat and go back to the page, and then clear the.
Maybe I just get out of here. Actually, do that.
Yeah, save real quick and then. Okay, either way.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You just gotta reconnect it.
Let me reconnect it. Boom.
Boom. Okay.
Let me send a message again.
Yeah, I think that will solve it. No.
Guess not. Problem ranking 2, no prompt specified. We do have a prompt. It's right in system message.
So chat input. Looks good.
Deactivate.
Oh, it's deactivated. I did this last night. Sorry. In order for me to do some Gmail testing, I had to deactivate that. I forgot.
Oh, all good.
So go back and then on the, there's an icon above, a little power symbol when you hover. There you go. Just click that. All right. Now it should work.
Interesting. It's a power button. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's weird. It couldn't have two triggers like that. So
it's so funny. It has a power button.
I know.
All right, great question. Definitely think. Here's what I do: get several insurance quotes, double down your due diligence, take a close look. So this one did not answer the way I would have wanted it to answer.
Yeah.
So now, based on your feedback, Brian,
I'll tell you what too. It didn't even go. It didn't even hit the database.
Oh, why not?
Let's think. So re-rank chat. So what I would actually recommend we do is go out of this, or we're going to copy the system prompt. There might be a difference. I think these should be the same, but let's see. Does it say anything about making sure to use specific tools? Because that's. Oh, did you update this? Is this different? Let's see.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, this looks.
I think I added. Wait, was this already there? I think I added this part. Let me check your system prompt for the other one. For a re-ranker.
Yeah, I might have just copied it, so it might be 1-to-1.
7.5.
Yeah,
oh no, you had the similar things.
Okay. So interesting. Yeah, can we look at this in a bigger view? Because I think my issue when I was running some tests earlier on in our process was sometimes it wouldn't go into our database. I think the agent needs to be told like what tools it can use. And like how to
add this one in there.
Yeah, so it has different names maybe Superbase Vector Store. Yeah, so go back. Let's see what the name is. Maybe since it's a different name. No, it's the same. Come
here. Yeah, same thing. That's so weird. Maybe it was just so confident in the answer that they didn't call it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, if I were to test it with Gmail, what would that be?
Let's try it again.
This is a red icon. Let's try it again. Okay.
Yeah, try it again.
Let me save it and then come back to it.
Sure. I mean,
yeah.
It's not deterministic, so that's kind of the odd issue with agent. It can kind of do, it creates different answers.
Okay, now it's going to Superbase.
Yeah, now it is good. Re-ranked. Okay. Cool.
Okay, now let's see. You're asking a lot of our questions. Flooding risk. Interest rate. Most experienced investors are staying away from high risk zones. Even specific building has never flooded. The big issue is rising insurance costs and carriers pulling out of risky markets. Great. So it's doing that differently. If you're consider insurance double, triple in 2 years, okay, that's pretty good. If you're buying anyway, okay, that's not a bad answer. I seen investors running a but 1 year later, if it's surprising thing. Yes, that's true. I've asked guests that have told me that their insurance is doubled or tripled. Curious if there's a way to mitigate your risk thing, or do you want feedback on the numbers you're running? If you want to learn more, you can ask ChatGPT. So this is trying to engage with the person. That's really good. What's the best podcast on affordable housing? You got this. Just do extra diligence up front. So maybe this is just me trying to answer it better because I think it captured the essence of what it is, right? Because it says like, hey, most people are staying away. And that's a fair statement because if you think about it, there are still a ton of people that own property in Florida. Personally, I might say I would not recommend it regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe I would just say to answer you straight, I would not recommend it.
Yeah.
And then I would just supplement it. So if I had to edit this post to be as straightforward as possible without that much more effort, I would just say, to answer you straight, I wouldn't do it. And then just literally just space most experienced investors are staying away. And then that's true because if you're going to buy anyways, well, because the essence of the question said, hey, if you are buying, what are you doing? So I understand why it answered that way.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good answer. I think
so too. Contextually, it's aligned with what the question is. So it tries to avoid saying yes at first, and it's like, hey, if you really are going to go ahead with it, here's some considerations. And then we can see too, like if we click on the re-rank cohere, it's that like weird, that white one in the middle. Sorry, in the logs.
Re-rank cohere. Yep.
So we should be able to see. Yeah, question.
Chunk.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, the first one on the right. Yeah, that's it. So that's your no. Your no is in that feedback right there, and that's 0.72. So it's the highest one it got.
Question, answer, no. So yeah, it pulled the right chunk to prioritize. And my answer was generally not no. So what I can do is maybe I'll say, no, I absolutely would not ever buy a property in a flood zone, brush fire zone, or no, I absolutely would not ever buy a property in a flood zone, brush fire zone, or any high risk areas for climate issues. Nice. So if I do that and I hit send, should I test it again? What do you think?
So we first need to run we can manually force it to run? Yeah.
We would just have to go update our Supabase first.
Mm-hmm.
We would execute this workflow.
Yep, we should just see one. One. Yep, perfect.
Yeah, things are working. And this is how we literally train our intern. Like, hey, next time you get this question again, be more explicit. And we do it just by this. Before, in column I, it was send. So now I just updated to update it so you know that the intern has learned what you told him or her to do. So now if I go back to the test re-rank again and ask that quote-unquote intern, I just like using the term intern. It just seems like way more relatable for some reason.
Wait, no. Wrong.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
You're good. I like where you're going to, though. It is fun to call it an intern.
Because it really is. It's kind of just like, you know that he or she is never going to be 100% perfect.
Yeah.
But they have a perfect memory of you. Great
All right.
question. You're not alone. A lot of investors are
Run it
running.
again.
Well, okay. It didn't call it. Why? Why?
There we go.
Okay, now it's calling it. Okay, so it's calling into our database that we just updated. So we're essentially saying, hey, new intern brain, what are you doing? Most experienced investors I know are extremely cautious about buying anything. The bigger reason is insurance carriers have pulled out with double, triple premiums, even your insurance thing. Your two tactics you're still considering a deal, redoing such as to insurance agent, acting difficult, get real quotes. Under a deal with worst case insurance costs and factoring potential downtime of hurricane hits, a lot of investors miss this and sell their the perfect storm. Other investors have had some good looking deals for the exact reason. Several people on affordable housing investment program share that even the product was damaged, they couldn't renew insurance or part their cash flow. And then okay, so it stopped short of being a no. So the two things I don't like about this response is one, it still has this M dash in there, so it just looks like a ChatGPT response. Even though we're like so explicit in the system message to not use any M dashes.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
That's so weird. Like, it's so weird it does that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the second part was it doesn't recognize that the explicit no is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
maybe that's how you update the system message then, right? That's what we're thinking.
Yeah. I think one thing we could do is we could run our prompt that we have right now into Claude or ChatGPT, ChatGPT 5, whichever one we want to use, and see how we can fine tune it with the context of, hey, we're using N8N to create a response agent. And we want to make sure that our system message on our agent, one, makes like always calls our tool, understands kind of like, the main pieces that we want to add in there contextually.
And developer and understand how to update system messages. Wow. We are creating a RAG response agent that is pulling information from our Supabase vector store. The issue we're currently facing is that when we have a straightforward yes/no recommendation based on our personal experiences, i.e., we don't recommend investors to invest in properties with high risk of flood, brush fire, or wind. We're not sure we're thinking their personal experience. It's not coming up as a no. It's more broad. What else would you change? Here is the message.
I would also add, we run into an issue where the Supabase vector store tool does not get called periodically.
True.
There we go. And then
boom. Let's see. Let's see what it does.
Oh, you already got it. Nice. There we go.
We must call both twos. No question. You are helpful, world-class investor, a hard policy, recommend no on properties with high risk. So it's just updating the evidence. So it's almost like, hey, if you have such a hard position, just put it into the system prompt itself.
Yes. Well, the system prompt, wait, what did it say? Hard policy, recommend no on properties with high risk. Yeah, so the system should be considering all of the Supabase chunks that it pulls and it'll consider the chunks with the system message here. So if it compares like, oh, hey, the system message is saying like, it's basically like a persona, like, oh, hey, I see this aligns with the properties in that area. It says, it's telling me to say no. That's part of my acting. I've got to like strictly, follow that rule. So it might just say no. I don't think it'll say no and then just leave it at that, because it has a lot more that it's trying to answer or like provide. But hopefully it will take that into consideration. Should we just try it? Because
yeah, dude, let's try it. Let's copy it.
Yeah, you can just totally override the original one. We have versions saved.
All right, let's do that. Boom, boom, save. And now I can ask that question again. Let me refresh. So it just does that. So now that updated system message. Okay, it's calling the vector store. Cool.
Nice. I ran it a couple times just to be sure. 3, 4. That's really trying.
Whoa. This might be very inefficient though for it to hit that many tokens.
Yeah, what is going on? I wonder if it's. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see. Too many
requests.
That's
try to go into too many. Interesting.
Okay. Let's see what that is. 10 API calls per minute.
Interesting. I love troubleshooting live. This is fun.
Yeah.
Your system message prompt caused the following error. What changes should we incorporate to not let it run through the vector store? Unlimited retries until replace the open-ended retry language with a stricter retry budget and a graceful fallback. Never exceed 2 total calls. Interesting. So I have to delete the red part.
I think so. We can validate. We'll just look for the word call and then make sure it's in there. If it is, then we can just paste over it.
Okay. You must call. Keep calling them.
Can you can actually open it, I think, into a bigger view, and then we can, or I think, is there a way?
That's the biggest one?
What are those little buttons when you hover over the box?
This one?
The system message, like the main box. There's yeah, right there.
Got it.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, that'll work. Let's see.
All right.
Oh yeah, call re-ranker. There he is. Tool usage flow. Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
Cost of breach, return top 10. Call return those chunks. Keep chunks. Just go try 2 more times.
It tells it to retrieve top 10. Okay, so that is immediately
interesting. Keep on until thing. Okay, and now ChatGPT is telling us call these tools as many times as necessary.
So if you scroll, scroll down. There's a section called tool usage flow. It says call CP-based vector store with your user question, retrieve top 10. I don't think we need that last. Yeah, there we go. And then the call re-ranker with these chunks.
0.75. That's a little. That was higher than what we had before, right?
Yeah, maybe you could just drop that down to 0.7 because I think it was.
Even this one was 0.7. Yeah, even this one was 0.72 only.
Yeah, let's just do 0.7 might be. There we go. Okay. That should help it.
Interesting. And then you must call, then call re-ranker once in the results. If no blob means 0.7 relevance, we try at most one additional time with a broader query. If no blob means 0.7, so condition unknown, ask one clarifying question. Now I see 2 total calls. That's going to confuse it, right? Because then this is like a whole set of steps.
I think this is better. It's a little bit more simple, because we don't need to do stuff with like the higher confidence. Like
I see what you mean.
Yeah, let's just get rid of those steps and then that first one too. Number 1.
Get rid of this one too.
Yeah, because it's redundant. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
The dots or so. A little bit of OCD to keep consistent. All right. Save.
Okay. Hopefully there's nothing else. I just hope it will run again because I think it will. I think it said per minute you can do more than 10, but let's see.
Let's see if it chokes.
Yeah, it's running. Okay, cool. It's still going. Okay.
Turns.
Let's see. It looks like it's done. Okay, cool. Nice.
All right. Recommendation, no. Huh. That's so weird that it spit that out in the chat response.
Yeah. It's kind of throwing it off with the new system message.
High risk for flood is deemed unacceptably risky by experienced section investors, insurance blah blah blah. I love that. I hear line code 1 2 real thing. Declare. No. I mean, it was all right. I respect that.
Yeah, you can see the power of the system message, though, right? Like, we can put it back, or we can pick and choose pieces.
Let's put it back because I really liked how it answered it before.
Can you copy that and send it to me though? I want to digest that a little bit more.
The new one?
Yeah, just so I can look at it because
yeah,
formatting a good prompt is very valuable, and there's always pieces that are kind of hard to come up with on your own. So I want to check it out.
Yeah, new prompt. Okay, so let me send that to you right now. And then I'm going to go back to the old prompt that we had here, which was the same one we had here. So I'm just going to copy this one back.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, 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 boom. So let me see, just make sure it's updated correctly. I'll do this now. Call it once. Yeah, it's way more efficient this way. I want to call it once.
Yeah.
When you get in season, actually steer and clear of high flood zones. Okay, that's good. Dude, I just can't get rid of these M dashes. I don't get it. I've tried. I've tried on my own instance.
It's so nice. Oh, one other thing I was thinking is if you open up that OpenAI Chat Model 3.
OpenAI Chat Model 3. Yep.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're using 4.1, which is good, right? I mean, you could try 5. It'll eat a ton of tokens, but you could at least try it if you want. Do we have 5 in there? Yeah, there should be. Where are you? There it is.
There you go. The Chat 5 Mini? I think we just did a mini, right? Because like,
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
no need to crush all the tokens. Let's see. Now we'll do it again. And now that it's mini, let's see if ChatGPT 5 will answer this question a little bit differently. Same system message, which is in a different model now. Still going to our vector store. Great.
Yeah, one thing I've heard people say about GPT-5, I think they were saying it thinks a little bit harder about its responses. So
I think it's a lot longer too. And this is the mini
yeah.
one. So dive into the regular version would have gone even longer. And I've kind of noticed that when I use GPT-5 myself, it also does. Got you want straight talk, not holding a 3 in it in high flood zone. Short answer, I would not buy it as a short long term. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Also, I don't see the M dashes.
Oh, dude, you're right. There's no M dashes. Dude. Well, that was an easy fix.
Yeah.
See,
you just
and
need
I
to
think the principle of like what people can learn from this is just like, if you think about what we did today, one, we figured out, okay, what is it we're trying to do? We're trying to make sure we provide a personalized opinion that's straightforward answer that matches our tone and matches our personal opinions, especially if you're looking to create a clone of yourself. Today, we did that by updating the system message, and we saw that it can go to a certain place, but it might have been a very expensive solution because it kept going through the process over and over, which is causing a lot of tokens, and tokens equate to financial costs, right? That makes an intern a lot more expensive, in other words. Now, then we were trying to get rid of the M dashes so that it doesn't look like ChatGPT drafted a message. And Brian had this brilliant idea of like, oh, maybe it's 4.1 and not GPT-5 issue. And we switched the model or the large language model from GPT 4.1 mini to GPT-5 mini. We got rid of it. And that's just like the logical step you can go through to figure out how do you create a better version you can do iterating. So, dude, this was so freaking fun.
Yeah.
I'm such.
There you go.
I definitely geek out over this stuff, dude.
I know.
What a go, Brian.
I got excited when I saw the update re-ranker or the update Q&A. When it went through all nice and fast, just with one item, I was like, oh, I love seeing that. It's just so pretty. I was like, whoa.
So smooth, dude. I love it. Well, tell people what you do on the Gmail. Like, is your Gmail trigger, is that simply just like a replacement for a chat message? Because like most people don't come into the chat message, right, to access the database. They might ask a question to me. So think of it as like, hey, my intern is monitoring all my emails, and if someone asks it a question, it's gonna look at that question and answer. Is that what you were trying to create here?
Yeah. There's different ways of doing it, but you're right on the money. I wanted to just see mainly if when you received a message in Gmail, we know we can get a response, but is it going to keep the context of the email chain? And I don't want it to lose the context because then it's not like you're really talking to somebody. It's just like, it gets a new question and it's like, what are we talking about? So I set it up. It's really simple. It's not that hard, but whenever you have a new email that gets sent to your Gmail, it creates a thread ID. And that thread ID, I was like, okay, so we know the thread to respond to, but what do I do with
Got
it?
it.
Actually, what you need to do is you take it and you, instead of, you see the Postgres chat memory. Typically with a chat, that field, right there, that key is tied to a chat. So like every chat we do in our normal agent where we're just doing back and forth conversation, that's automatically populated there by the chat. So I was like, wait, what if we just throw the thread ID in here so it has an ID to look at for every conversation back and forth piece. So that worked perfectly. Whenever there's an email and you respond to it, that thread ID gets saved. The chat memory knows what it is, and it can always reference that ID in our Supabase to say, hey, this is part of our email thread chat right here. So any of that context will get stored and
Interesting.
saved. So I was actually able to run it. We don't have to run it now, but I was asking it some Section 8 questions, and I could see that even when I responded a second time with a new question or an update, it was able to say, "Yep, I still remember what we were talking about," and give reference to a previous message I had sent. So yeah, pretty cool. Like
Wow.
you could utilize that in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, because that I love how you work through that about keeping the context because it's no different than man, like if someone, let's say, was in a group chat with you, or someone just text messaged you, same context, right? They're gonna be like, "Hey, do you remember what we talked about 2 weeks ago on this blah 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 blah?" And you being able to save that conversation, well, basically, you're saving every single email into your Superbase vector store as like this is that email with that person specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Would
Yeah.
you do not just a thread ID, but also a sender ID? Because now all of a sudden, someone might start a new email to you, but it's still the same person. So you don't want to lose the context of what that person has done before
Mm,
that.
good question. So when you're setting those
Hmm.
fields,
Yeah.
I think if you open the edit fields node, um,
Mm-hmm.
I do capture the from. So that has a
Ah.
name and it has an email, and then you can parse that to
Yeah.
like put a response message. You, I'm sure you could come up with a pretty clever solution. Um, the context is in Supabase though, in the table called N8N chat history section 8, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's where the thread ID lives. It's the key for that conversation.
Uh-huh.
So if they always reply to that same email thread, they will always have the context no matter what. If they send a
Got it.
new email, then that context would be
Mm-hmm.
lost unless your idea was implemented. Um, so how
And the
does
reason
that?
I bring that up is
Yeah.
because sorry, keep going. I interrupted you.
No, you're okay. I don't have the answer right off the top of my head. I'm just thinking it out
Okay.
loud. So
Yeah, because I
yeah.
think the from is almost more important because think about your future customers, right? Or whatever. Like, let's say, Brian, you came to me and asked advice, like, hey, dude, like, what do you think I should do? Should I buy in this property or in this state or whatever? But if I knew that you already had property in Kansas City and now you're trying to buy in Atlanta, I might go to you, Brian, and say, well, in general, I might say, yeah, go ahead, follow this process because you would say, well, tell me about how you underwrote this property. But if I knew that you already had property in Kansas, I would might challenge you and say, Brian, why are you going to a new state right now when you just figured out a team in Kansas? Like, why not just keep expanding there? So that's where I think the advice diverges depending on
Mhm.
the context you have about that person. Same thing with a skincare type of business. Like I know this person has dermatitis. I know this person has Botox, so they can do X, 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 X. Or plumbing business. I know this person. I've snaked their kitchen sink like 3 times already. Maybe now I actually recommend like, hey, you should probably just repipe this system. Like that's where I thought that would come, like the principle would come into play, and that's applicable to any business.
Yeah, definitely. If you're, it's like turning, like you're trying to make it like long term relational, and I think
Yeah.
the answer is what we've already done with human in the loop answers as metadata. So we're to where we can
Mm.
differentiate in our Supabase. I think it would be no different to do N8N chat histories. It would have to be a separate chat histories, like a Gmail chat histories or
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp or whatever it might be, because the context will be slightly different, but it would be metadata, I think. And you would still need to have it set up the way I have it here, where the key
Yes.
for Postgres is the same, and um, the key to recall all of the contexts will be the same, but there will be another condition that you can look for. You can say like, if like look up this user in the metadata, um, you know, assuming that these keys match and we
Mm.
have a reference or whatever, then look at all of their past context. regardless of if it's on a thread or if it's a new thread, old thread, whatever. So I don't have it all mapped out perfectly, but yeah, you should be able to conditionally check for something like that.
Okay, that's genius. Because then now essentially what we've done is we've done the hard part. We've got the vector store done. And the vector store is essentially that perfect memory that we have just like downloaded onto an intern. But now the front end just might be a little different. So now how questions come in, they might either be us going outbound, meaning we're searching on bigger pockets, we're searching on neighborhood app, and we're going to answer those questions. But inbound wise, we're also set up to essentially say, well, we can either take that question via email, we can take it via a WhatsApp text message, or maybe we have another front end chatbot that handles that. So now really the front end seems like almost a little easier now that we got the back end set up already, Brian. Because now it's just like, okay, now let's think about in the future use case, let's set this up correctly. And we just talk through that about, hey, maybe we just got to figure out like how do we track that relational or that relationship with that person that's asking us based on not just the context in an email chain or a text message window, but also historically, what do we know about that person?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting. That would be pretty good. That would be, I think, unique. Maybe I assume it's been done. I'm not trying to say that, but
Yeah.
I don't see this use case coming up in a lot of the content I'm consuming around N8N. Most of it's typical, like handling a purchase order or like answering a customer question or something like that, because that's most businesses, right? But this would be cool. I think it's a challenge that would be useful for a lot of people, or a challenge that could provide a result for people.
Dude, because this applies to business. That's why.
Yeah.
Like this.
And
dude,
I think
I'm freaking pumped.
I think that Gmail concept is pretty similar for all of the messaging apps. So Gmail is easy; everyone has an email. When it comes to like WhatsApp or Telegram, I think there's a similar it's not thread ID, but it would be chat ID or message ID or whatever it might be, to keep the context. So I don't think it would be that much more difficult for any of the other messaging platforms to set it up, the way we have it. It's just if you take it to the next level to be contextually aware for all new messages with previous context, then that'll take some trial and error, but I think it's doable.
Dude, I think that's like literally the last step now. If I really think about it, because then now you figured this one out for Gmail, you just replicate it for WhatsApp or a chatbot, if you will. Then now that we train the vector store, like I think it's like 90% on the way there. I think maybe if I wanted to enrich our vector database, the only things I can think of is like maybe I can take like sample leases from Section 8 tenants, right? Or I might enrich it with some other course materials from other people that have done it logically that I respect. So I can enrich it that way. But I think that would be the last step for the vector store itself. And then combined with your updates on the front end, I think we're good to kind of roll it out and just use it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And you and I talked about October being like the target date. Like, dude, we're literally there.
Yeah. The other thing that I was doing on the side, just consuming some content, was how people are using it on the front end. So I found some videos where people had used their agent to like walk through like a form, like a dynamic form. And they built a full custom front end, but it had webhooks. And each step of the form triggered one part of this agent, which sent it to a wait condition. And then the other part of the form would load. And then a new agent would come in and dynamically ask them questions. And it would walk them through this troubleshooting scenario, which is really cool to see it on the front end. I'll share the video with you if I can find it.
Yeah, dude, I want to check it out.
But what I'm getting at is I do want to understand the webhooks more for using the chat feature in an external UI. So obviously we could use Gmail. A lot of people will love WhatsApp or messaging in different ways, but I'm sure some people will maybe like Ashley Hamilton, she's a great friend of ours. She might want her own UI for that. So
Yeah.
That's the other piece that I still would love to just be confident on before, um, we're at the kind of end goal. But regardless, I know it's possible. It's just, figuring it out the right way. So let me send this video to you.
I do. I can't wait to just kind of watch it because I think at this point, once we get the different UIs, I almost think of it as this was the most important part because you had to answer the question for that prospect, for whatever business you're in, for whatever industry you're in. You now know how to answer that question. Once you're able to answer that question, now all of a sudden you're remembering everything about that customer. So again, I go back to one of our friends like facial businesses. If I know that person has that skin type, I know exactly what type of treatment works best for her and post-treatment skincare, etc. So now I know what to recommend, but more importantly, I can create specific, relatable feedback in that conversation with the customer because that's applicable to every other interaction that we have. Meaning, if they ever text us about recommendations like, hey, how my skin's feeling extra oily today, what should I do? Or that person says, hey, like, hey, I know we're about to schedule your third facial treatment. Like, we got to get to the third one because that's when you see the most results. Like, now that agent also has a memory of what the skin type is, what conditions they have, but also remembering like which appointment are they on. And now you have a bunch of little AI agents for your small business to essentially handle all those responsibilities. Meaning you have essentially now have your clone that has perfect memory of all your clinical knowledge and you are answering questions about that person's skincare specifically, but you are also handling booking them for appointments, like being that direct contact, even though it's like an AI agent, but you're still answering all the emails, etc. So I think that's like a very comprehensive solution for any business, whether it's a small business, skincare, or small business, plumbing, home services, doesn't matter what it is. The principle is still there.
Yeah, totally.
I know I just talked a lot out loud, but I'm just freaking jazzed, dude.
Yeah, and the use case where, like, if we're going with salon, nail, hair, an agent can do what it's told to do, but multiple agents can do many things. And obviously, with the power
Mm-hmm.
of AI, like anywhere along the way, you could have AI differentiate and categorize and lead into other questions depending on how it's set up. So we only use for our chat right here for like the Gmail example. There's one
Mm-hmm.
RAG agent, but you could have
Right.
10 RAG agents, and they could all be set up to handle different use cases. One's for like, hey, customer questions, client questions. The next one is like um, scheduling an
Oh,
appointment.
yeah.
Another one could be this and that. And you're adding on to where contextually you need to be aware of like what you're talking about. And one agent will do a lot, but you can see with the prompt in the system message, it's going to struggle to do everything perfectly unless it's clearly defined what it's being told to do. And so if we can, you know, add
I know what you're
multiple,
talking about.
yeah, yeah, like
Because
I
then
think they call it
essentially,
swarm. Yeah.
yeah. So essentially, you have multiple. So essentially, you have an agent that sits at the top that's diagnosing. So I'm going to use an analogy here. It's almost as if I'm calling the doctor for my mom about her back surgery appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Like if when I send that message to them, someone is diagnosing like, hey, is this just an appointment question? Because then now it goes to an appointment agent, or is this a medical question that the nurse practitioner can answer? Or is this really, really complex that only the neurosurgeon can answer? So there's a little triage agent that says like, oh, this is a very basic like logistical question. Like that's for this person to answer. So it's almost like you have a diagnosis agent. So to your point, to swarm, but then it picks which agent that it needs to tag on. Like, hey, this is a introductory skincare question. You go reply,
Yeah.
or this is an appointment question. You look at our appointment availability for that and reply.
Yeah.
Boom, dude. This is so freaking cool.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my
And
goodness.
it's like fairly simple. Like the hardest part, I think, is, if you have all the pieces, you just need to be able to guide AI. Like we're basically just like shepherds with AI at this point. We're not we're not doing all the hard
Yes.
work. We have the interns working. You just have to tell them what to do, and they can go do it. So it's cool.
Dude, you know what's the best analogy I heard about AI this week? It's, how to say it? When like the iPhone first came out, right? And like I would give the phone to my dad, and my dad would be like, "What's this?" Or I give it to my grandma, and she would have zero clue about it.
Mhm.
This is like the technology equivalent. It's almost like if you don't know how to use the internet nowadays, it's completely mind blowing. But it's almost as if you don't know how to become, to your point, the shepherds of AI now, you're almost becoming that grandma. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like you have to learn this. It's almost like you don't know how to use Microsoft Excel or browse the internet. It's bizarre, but that's the equivalent of how important this technology is. And for those of you that are following us right now, I mean, we're super early to this, but you're seeing us build this out live. And the reason Brian and I are doing this together, because one, we intend to help you. Two, we really hope that you take advantage of how we're building out live and learn from our mistakes so that we cut the learning curve from you for so much. But we really hope that you apply for good to help whoever you want to help in whatever manner you want to help. Because I think this is truly how you create the maximum leverage. And just imagine you have like clones of yourself just doing all this work. It's such a massive technology.
Yeah. I love it. It's so cool. Heck yeah.
It's going so much faster than I ever expected, man. That's all I
I
gotta
know.
say. But dude, I'm glad you like that intern analogy. So because that's what I was trying to come on. I was like, how do I explain this simply to somebody? Because
Yeah.
dude, if you come up with better analogies as you talk to people, dude, let me know, dude. I love analogies. They're the best.
I know. It really is. Uh, I will say too. I checked out the agent evaluation video you shared. It was really useful for at least understanding in implementation when, let's
Yeah.
say we have a client, like that's where it's going to be amazing. It is going to be a lot of extra work, not a lot, but there's like, you're basically needing to track every little detail. So that tutorial was really helpful.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and
Did you
yeah,
like the one where they had like the mass import of everything too? I figured that's
I
also really important for like a setup phase in the future.
yeah, I don't know if you saw it. It is really useful actually, and I saved both of those in on my YouTube in a different category because coming back to that, if we have multiple types of data that we really need to like be, um, what's I'm losing my mind right now, but we need to keep
Ingest
it,
it.
yeah, ingest it, but keep it like formatted properly. The
Mm,
tools he used are third-party tools. One of them's free, one of them's like costs money, but
yeah.
it's really good and stuff like that. So um, it will be really
Dude,
useful though, like transcripts, PDF, any type of document like that. So that'd be awesome.
dude, this is so freaking cool because
Mhm.
I mean, we could think about using PDFs next because then I can get some PowerPoints from courses that I know that I've used and PDFs of actual documents for like how you go through a like I have the housing quality inspection checklist from my property in Alabama, right? So now when you enrich it and you can provide information about what actually is happening, well, now you can provide even a more substantial answer because now you're referencing real housing quality inspection checklists. So when people are asked like, "Hey, how do I make sure I pass my inspection for Section 8 so that I don't end up waiting like 3, 4 months from now?" You're providing that list based off of the memory that you've already enriched in the database. And that's something that you would never get from a generic ChatGPT answer.
Yeah,
I hope, at least for another year.
yeah,
I hope.
I know.
Let's
I
go.
know. We got to hide data from ChatGPT so that we continue to be useful and helpful. No, it was really cool though. The tools he used, it used like bits of OCR, it used some AI, and it was able to like basically look at a document like a PDF with images on it or like weird
Mhm.
formatting, things that a typical tool in N8Ed wouldn't be able to pick up. It was able to read that properly and then format it properly into the Supabase or wherever you're putting it. So you could compare and contrast between N8N, the new tool he
Yeah.
recommends, and then see like the quality of the document that gets pulled out. And so nothing got lost in translation, which is awesome.
Yeah. Freaking dope, dude. I'm so
Yeah.
excited. All right. So I'm going to stop recording on this one. And for those of you that want to make sure we follow us, make sure you follow us on YouTube at Kent Fai He, and we are out.